What I find is when I see the best in her, that's who she turns out to be. If I'm negative and I see the worst, if I'm looking for the worst, I find the worst. If I look for the best, I find the best.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding us, and the greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Hi there, welcome to A Better Us.
And welcome to our home.
In marriage, we all want to become a better us, but the problem is the us we're working on is made up of two imperfect people.
Whose thoughts, opinions, and baggage often collide. I mean, really, working on your marriage is a lot of work.
And quite often the work happens up here, you know, those private thoughts that you have about your spouse and the way you choose to interpret their actions.
Neil and Sharol Josephson, directors of Family Life Canada, they're going to give us practical tips on how we can condition our minds to focus on what's good and believe the best about our spouse, and in the process, build a strong marriage.
And in the last half of the program, it's just us girls time, as you and all the ladies from A Better Us sit down with psychologist Dr. Mary.
That's right. Today's topic is one we could all speak into: finding our identity, our voice as a woman while navigating life and marriage. We all had a lot to say, and I think even the guys are going to learn something.
I hope so. And we'll be cooking up some conversation in the kitchen with our kitchen couple, CFL football great Mike Pinball Clemens and his wife, Diane.
And youth and children's pastors, Eric and Kara Maines.
So stick around, it's gonna be good.
It's often said that when people are falling in love, they see each other with rose-colored glasses. What most people don't know is that happily married, long-lasting couples keep those glasses on. In a recent study, the researchers asked individuals to rate themselves on a range of attitudes and behaviors, you know, kindness, forgiveness, and that kind of thing. And then they asked the person's partner to rate them on those same things. And here's what they found. In healthy couples, overwhelmingly, the individual ranked their partner higher than their partner ranked themselves. Do you see that? Healthy couples continue to see their partner through rose-colored glasses.
In our 39 years of marriage, in our work with thousands of couples, we've seen this. Healthy, happy couples are gracious to one another. They give each other compliments. They believe the best about their spouse. So when Neil and I lived a few years ago in California, we lived in this crazy hot part of the country, like 45 degrees sometimes for a stretch of time, Celsius, stinking hot. So this one particular time, it was a little bit cooler. It was like 39 degrees, and we were going to church. And I was about to get in the car, and I said, "I am so hot." To which my husband replied, "Not as hot as you used to be."
Now, come on, there's no way I said that.
You're horrified, aren't you?
This is a good communication example. I heard her say, "It's so hot," and I said, "It's not as hot as it used to be." And thankfully, you believed me.
Actually,
you chose to believe the best.
I did believe you for two reasons. First of all, I knew that you wanted to live long enough to see your grandchildren. But the second reason is that Neil and I have conditioned our minds over our 39 years of marriage to try to give each other the benefit of the doubt, to believe the best. So when I heard him say those awful things, my first response, honestly, was, that can't be what he meant to say. And then I turned and said, "What did you say?" And we kind of got it figured out, and it actually makes for a pretty great story.
Choosing to believe the best is a signature characteristic of strong marriages. Marriages that are struggling go the other way. They focus on the negative. They obsess over their partner's shortcomings, whether they're real or imagined. We do have to deal honestly if there's hurtful or there's wrong behavior in our marriage, but our default mindset needs to be this: I choose to believe the best about my spouse. You know, the best stuff that Sharol and I learned comes from God's Word, and there's some brilliant instruction on how to believe the best. It's from Philippians chapter 4. Maybe you know this verse. You should look it up. "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever's true, whatever's worthy of respect, whatever's just, whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's commendable, if something is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things." Try reading that verse with your spouse's name in there. You know, whatever's pure and commendable and praiseworthy about Sharol, that's what I'm going to fix my mind on. That's how to read that verse.
We can't always control the random thoughts that run through our brain, but we can choose which thoughts we make space for, the thoughts we linger on, encourage and nurture. And when it comes to your marriage and your spouse, make those the best possible thoughts you can. So here's some specifics to try. Make a point of giving your partner an honest compliment at least once a day. And
You look awesome.
so do you.
Thank you.
But get specific, and not just about something they've done for you, but something in their character, something you admire about who they are.
Maybe you could write a letter. Some of you don't even know what those are, so Google it. We do weekend getaways across Canada, and one of the favorite projects in the whole weekend is when we ask couples to write a letter to their partner, and they begin this way. We say, just start writing down the traits that first attracted you to your partner, and then continue by saying all the great things you've come to appreciate about them. It's simple, and try it. It's really good.
Make a date night out of looking through some of your old pictures and relive your best times together.
And if you pray together, thank God for your spouse out loud in their presence, and then even get specific. Give thanks for a few of the good things your spouse does to bless you. And if you want to go the distance and grow in love and become a better us, condition yourself to focus on the good stuff. Choose to believe the best about each other.
We are here in the kitchen now with our kitchen couples, Mike and Diane, and Eric and Kara. Great to have you guys with us. Believing the best about your spouse.
Yeah.
You know, trying to keep those rose-colored glasses on even after the honeymoon period. It's not always easy, but it's a great habit to get into.
I think sometime after the first 2 years, the honeymoon period is the first 2 years, after we lose our rose-colored glasses. Maybe we step on them, or we lose them between the couch cushions or something. We got to find them. And we've got to repair them and then put them back on, because it really is important to not always focus on the problems, on what bugs you about him. So, okay, my mom was Cajun French, okay, and they have little words, little Cajun French words. And so when I was growing up, my mom always threw out these Cajun French. One of the words is dépouille. A dépouille is a little mess. It's a little, like if you just kind of throw your keys and your mail and everything on a table and it just kind of piles up. That's a dépouille. Okay, you can have a dépouille. Clothes on the floor in the corner, that's a dépouille. Okay, so.
I need to use that.
Yeah, I know, dépouille. So there is a point to getting to, okay. My husband is the king of dépouilles. I don't like clutter. I don't like clutter at all. I'm always trying to declutter things. And he just loves to create dépouilles. They're just everywhere around the house.
But I know where everything is. It's in this dépouille over here. That's right.
So early in our marriage, it really bugged me. But I had to train my mind to say, okay, you know what? This is something he does. We'll work on it. I'm not going to get really angry and say, honey, stop it. But focus on, okay, what does he do? Like he believes in us. Like he is my loyal, steady Eddie guy, and there's nothing that's going to ruffle his feathers because he is there for me. And so I think it's training your mind, because there's things that are going to bug us. They're really going to bug us.
But you have pointed out the dépouille once or twice, but in a very, very nice way, though.
Thank you. I try.
Yeah,
Not the dépouille attitude.
Yeah, to give you just a little bit of support. If you're a day pooey, I'm a night pooey, because mine is even bigger. Yes. I got a big mess. Yes. Yeah, I congregate stuff in all of these little.
Little piles, just like you said.
I hate filth, but I don't mind being messy, right? I can't see filth, but if it's messy, I'm okay with that. Yes. So,
And I'm a neat freak, so
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I hear you.
Yeah, but maybe one of the things that kind of hit me when we were talking was what you see is what you get. Right, so what I find is when I see the best in her, that's who she turns out to be. If I'm negative and I see the worst, if I'm looking for the worst, I find the worst. If I look for the best, I find the best. And when I look for that, right, you find, I think, that people begin to own those things that you speak into them, right? So what you see then becomes, I guess if you say it, what you see becomes what you speak, and then what you speak is then in turn what you get.
That's good. It's your attitude and what you see.
So do you guys find that sometimes the rose-colored glasses
Well, I mean, you're
have fallen off.
4 years in. 4 years
That's right,
in.
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah, we're
So you're
counting.
fresh.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they're still on.
Yeah,
Like, of course you into hiccups and stuff, but.
Hiccups?
See, just the way she's looking at him right
I
there.
know.
I can see the outline of the glasses.
Just like, yeah.
No, we like it.
No, yeah. Well, we choose to see the best, and it especially comes out when like someone else comes up to you and says, you know what, Kara said this to me, and it hurt me in this way because this is how she meant it. When you're like, no, actually, I know her heart, and her motivation behind saying that wasn't to hurt you in this way. That she was trying to give you constructive criticism here, and I like that part about seeing the best in her because I know what she meant by what she's saying, where other people might not know specifically what she's saying. And so I can be there to kind of help correct
But
things
surely
like that
there's
as well.
sometimes in your relationship, I mean, 4.5 years in, where, you know, Eric, he's my son. I love him dearly, but there's got to be times when...
Where she's kind of like peered out of the rose-colored glasses.
Yes,
Like, oh, that's what he looks like. Put this back on. It's like,
Come on, you
Just
you
close
tell
my
us.
eyes. Well, yeah, yes, of course there are times like that. But just remembering all the good that he has done. But there's absolutely been some times where that has happened. I know.
you're fishing. You're fishing for something right now.
No, I love when he said, choose the thoughts you make space for.
Yes, exactly.
Right? You can't say it any better than that. Choose the thoughts that you make space for.
And as you choose those thoughts, I think it's very important to say you can get comfortable sort of, you know, kind of doing the, you know, not taking the glasses off and kind of complaining, but you can also get very comfortable, right, with loving on your wife. And so that can be something that can happen very naturally, and so it can be easy.
So it's developing good habits. Really,
And
in
the
our
mind
minds.
is the battleground, and so that's where a lot of it happens. And the scripture they gave at the end there about, you know,
It's what you
yeah,
focus on, what you
yeah.
think on these things.
think on these things, the good things.
The pure, the lovely, yes.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? Coming up, it's your Just Us Girls segment, isn't it?
We had so much fun taping these Just Us Girls segments with just the women of A Better Us, so stay tuned.
And us guys will learn a lot too.
Go girls, it's your birthday, go girls.
A strong man isn't threatened when his
That's
wife
right.
steps
That's
into
right.
her calling. He is her support, like you said, the wind beneath her wings. He is her biggest cheerleader.
Hi, we hope you're enjoying the show.
You know, our vision at A Better Us is to see every marriage become a loving union that creates a safe family haven, building a legacy of hope for future generations.
That's why we feel it's so important to invest in marriage relationships through producing a new episode of A Better Us every week.
Absolutely. If you feel as we do that marriages are worth investing in, then please consider joining us as a member of A Better Us with a monthly donation of $25.
You'll be making a big difference in lives and families, and we'll send you 2 of our special mugs, the mugs that you see our kitchen couples using each program.
Absolutely. And be sure to send us your mugshot selfie, and we'll post it on our Facebook page and on our website.
Simply visit abetterus.tv and click donate to set up your automatic monthly giving. And God bless you, and thank you so much for making this program possible and helping us strengthen marriages.
So we can all become a better us. Well, we're back with Just Us Girls again. It's so nice having time just with the girls from A Better Us. We've got Diane and Kara and Danielle, and of course, Dr. Mary. We love having you with us, Dr. Mary. You're a clinical psychologist for over 25 years. She has spoken directly into the hearts and lives of singles, families, individuals, couples, talking into those real deep heart issues, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of women grapple with, and that's finding our identity. Because you know what? We've been married 34 years, and so for 32 of those years, I've been a mom. And I was a stay-at-home mom for the first 14 years, so that was who I was. That was my identity. And then I went back to work, and then I had to juggle more balls, and it becomes overwhelming at times. Like, who am I? What is my identity? And where do I focus my efforts and my attention? I guess it depends on what season of life you're in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we happen to be, assuming we're kind of the same age, of that generation where we're starting to see a shift, where in the secular world, women are having careers, they're all the way up to CEOs. And then we have a younger generation coming up where that's all they knew is that strong women can rule and strong women can take on very, very high levels of responsibility. And yet we've got the Christian world and the things that we're taught, and there's certainly for me a disconnect because I love my husband and he is of vital importance to me, and I want to honor him, I want to respect him, I do not want to do anything that would diminish him. Yet I struggle when something that I do kind of puts me out a little bit more front stage. So our personality is I talk a lot more and I don't have a problem being on the front stage talking and presenting, and I like getting my makeup done and all that. And he's a behind the scenes kind of a guy. So if you just kind of look at our family, it almost seems like people would say, oh, you're the boss, you're the one wearing the pants in the family. It's like, no, actually, I'm the more opinionated one. But that doesn't necessarily mean the case.
That's right.
But as I'm also raising a daughter, she's 21 now, and she, I'm super proud of her because she's finding a way to identify her voice and to speak out what she feels the Lord's calling her to do in the area of justice. Then I'm kind of grappling with that. Like, how do we do that? And how do we do it in a way that honors our husbands, that doesn't diminish them? So I would love to hear your stories. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to start there, Danielle.
Man, we could talk all day, I think, between the five of us. But for me, that was a huge issue early on in marriage because, first of all, I was 20 when I got married.
Wow.
A baby.
Yeah.
And not only that, I moved to a different country, into a world where my husband was already established. He had a ministry, a platform. Everyone knew him. And I went from being Danielle to Dan McCauley's wife. And I'm proud of that, but that came with challenges for sure. So it was really just me. First of all, it just takes time sometimes to find our voice. We just have to mature into it. But also, it just took me hearing from the Lord and obeying him because I really did. It had been all about him. I was working for Dan, but I heard from the Lord and he said, your voice and your words, I'm going to use you. And I'm going, it's always been about his voice. And it really took me getting out of my comfort zone and having faith in myself to believe that I could have a voice too, and I could find who I was and make a difference and not just be the wind beneath his wings. He could be the wind beneath my wings as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I love that.
Yeah, Diane, you probably have the same story as me.
You see me shaking my head, right? Because our stories are similar. I mean, I too came to a different country with my husband. I remember being in school, and I would always tell my roommate, I was always this independent kind of girl, right? I always had a plan. And when we got married, I asked my husband, I said, well, why don't I stay here while you go do your thing and I'll come visit? And he was like, no, that's not gonna work. Because I was like, I didn't wanna lose my identity because I felt it coming, right? And we moved to Canada. And I was so used to working as a young woman. I always had to work because growing up we didn't have much. And at the time I was working for the bank and for Department of Defense, and I just had my little thing going, and I was like, you know, I was ready to take on the world. Moved here and I lost everything. I couldn't work. I was sitting at home every day by myself because I was in a country where I knew no one. No one. And I struggled with that, and I struggled a lot. I tried to figure out my place and couldn't, and so that jealousy creeped in, right?
Resentment.
That resentment, that, well, who are you, that you know? And one day I had to catch myself because I was really starting to get to the point where I didn't want to be here. I was like, I want out, like this is not working. Like I'm losing myself. And I really had to start praying about it. And I remember praying, And that very next day, my husband had an autograph signing. And he said, why don't you come with me? And he would always invite me, but I felt lost because I was standing in the corner and all these people groveling and
you're just wife of.
right, and you're just, oh, that's your wife. Oh, hey, you know, it gets old sometimes, right? And so that day I was like, you know what, I'm going to come, and I went, and I got involved, and I talked to people, and I mingled, and I heard God say, "This is your place." You do belong here. This is your place. You just got to step into it, right? I was fighting it. I was trying to stay out of it. But he said, you have to step into it. This is I'm giving this to both of you, not just to Michael, but this is your platform as well. I'm giving both of you a platform like you have no idea. And once I said, okay, maybe it is. And then I started beginning to find myself and find my place and find my identity, because I became Pinball's wife. I became, the wife of. And I lost my name. And I would get angry sometimes when people, you're Pinball's wife, or you're, hi, I'm Diane. Right? My name is Diane, people. Right? I do have a name, right? I love my husband, and my husband honors me, and he respects me, and he always puts me at the front. But I needed people to know that I'm more than just, you know,
Now, Kara, I know you're married to a man who has a larger-than-life personality, like Pinball.
Yes.
How do you cope with that?
So I am married to Eric, and he is 6'8", and he has
Literally
literally
larger than
life. And it is wonderful. And our first year was tough for me. I moved away from all my family, from all the familiar, just like both of you guys. And you have to learn who you are. And I remember calling my mom one time, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm just Eric's girlfriend, or Eric's fiance, or Eric's wife, but my name is Kara, and I have a calling, and I am gifted. And she was like, you know what, Kara, you need to go alone, and you need to pray and get into your word. And I remember that was life-changing for me, because my true identity comes from God, and it comes from spending time with Him, regardless of the words that were spoken over me or what people might say. I know that in Him I can do all things, and I know that Eric supports and he loves and he cheers me on. And regardless if I feel that doors that closed should have opened, it doesn't matter, because the Lord guides our steps as a couple, and I needed to trust in that and hope in that and stand on that, because some days were tough and some days I felt lost and lonely. I was 21 when I got married, so I was a baby, and so so I needed to remind myself that God is my strength, and He will lead my steps, regardless if people call me Eric's wife. I know I'm called, and He will walk me through.
Very well said.
Yeah, as a couple, you know, like you said, if we're called to be our husband's wife, we're called into what they are called to, and they are called into us. And
that's a good point. So, yes, maybe traditionally we women would have thought we're called into our husband's ministry, and we're there to support, gird them up behind them. And it's not that we don't do that, but it's also not at the expense of our own calling, because God has wired us with our own gifts and our own calling. And yes, part of it is to be wife to my husband, but the other part of it is this world. There's so much in this world that needs our gifting, and to hide behind my husband is to do a disservice to what the Lord is asking me to do.
Amen.
I love what you said earlier when you were talking, Dr. Mary, about you are the more outgoing in your marriage, and your husband is the more, quiet and reserved man. I'm married to a gentle giant of a guy who just, he's my rock. He's, because I can be kind of bigger and more expressive. But like I said earlier, when we first got married, I was 20, again, very young when we got married. And so I entered into finishing school, and right after school, got pregnant with the first baby. And so just slipped right into motherhood. I was a mom. That was my identity. And then as God started opening doors when our oldest was a teenager, for me to do more outside of the home, I had to really learn how to be that person too. because I was so used to being Ron's cheerleader, being Ron's support, which I love doing, and I am his biggest cheerleader, and I always tell him that. He's just off camera, that's why I keep looking over here.
He's blushing.
But I had to learn that it was okay to kind of come out of my shell and be myself, who is more bigger and more, you know, out there and creative and expressive.
Not necessarily be in a box.
Exactly.
I mean, there's that movie where she says to him, "You complete me,"
complete
which is such a romantic line, but it's actually hogwash. Because we are meant to be codependent. Interdependent. Sorry, not codependent. That's another unhealthy. Interdependent. And interdependent means full, whole person coming together with another full, whole person coming together.
Amen.
So I have a friend of mine who recently lost her husband, and still very young, still very vital. Does she no longer have identity then? She still does. And that's, if we get so enmeshed in who we are as wife and as mother, when sometimes the Lord shakes things up, we lose sight of who we really are. And the other thing I would like to add is that if we think of marriage, marriage is not actually God's answer to make us happy. It really is the platform that he uses to grow our faith and to grow our character. It's the thing, the person who's regularly rubbing against us that causes us the most heartache, but also the most joy, so that we can grow in our faith and also in our calling. So who I am today has very much to do with my relationship with my husband and some of the trials that we've gone through and all the joys we've gone through, so that by this point, there's a fullness of my calling as there is a fullness of his calling.
And a strong man isn't threatened when his wife steps into her calling. He is her support, like you said, the wind beneath her wings. He is her biggest cheerleader. And that comes as you work together and you support each other. And you're
and I think that's a really good point, because if you are a woman and you are trying to find your calling and your husband's reacting very negatively, you know, consider whether there's some insecurities or some old theology where you're not supposed to do things outside the home. But like, don't just stop the process. I mean, do it with great love, with great grace, and maybe you might need some professional help to talk it through. But recognize that, is the Lord using this to help my husband grow and his capacity to protect me? And protecting me also means protecting my identity, protecting my calling, not just protecting my femininity and being just his wife.
You know, this is such a good conversation, and I really hope you husbands have been listening too, because this is how women think. This is how we're wired, and this is a really good talk. So thanks, girls, for being here. Thank you for being with us. Stay with us. There is more A Better Us to come. Hey friends, Ron and Ann here. We're so glad you're with us at A Better Us, and we pray your marriage is blessed as you take this in.
Be sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and enjoy this video.
We're so glad you spent the last half hour with us as we've talked about some pretty important issues related to marriage.
Like the way we think about our spouse, choosing to focus on the good rather than dwelling on the negatives. It really does have a profound influence on the health of our marriage.
It sure does. And our Just Us Girls conversation was so good. The whole area of discovering our unique identity as a woman while navigating life and marriage, it is so key in becoming all God has designed us to be.
Yeah. And of course, for all of us, our most important identity is that we are a beloved child of God, cherished by Him more than we can imagine. Realizing that truth is actually the best foundation for life and the most secure place on which to build our marriage.
That's right. As you each find your identity in God, you will develop a bond in your marriage that strengthens the us you're working to make better every day.
If you're not sure about the whole idea of a personal God who loves you, who offers wisdom and power for your relationship, consider calling our prayer line.
It's toll-free, available 24/7. You can share what's on your heart. You can receive prayer for any life issues that you may be dealing with.
Well, thanks again for joining us. And remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us. Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
And you can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy. Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.